Okay, let's talk a bit about business strategy. So we've talked about overall strategy, organizational strategy. We've talked about strategic decisions, strategic direction. So what do we do for the business, right? The business strategy. How will the business operate? And more importantly, what is the business strategy? So let's take a look at that. So in this module, we're going to look at what is a business strategy, of course. We'll look at the different levels of strategy and how they function and interrelate together. We'll also understand how a business strategy is created. So we've looked at the overall strategy, the organization, the 4 steps. Now we'll look at the business. So business strategy, what is it? Well, it can best be understood as simply a set of decisions which assists the organization or the leaders to achieve its business objectives. So business strategy is number 1, a set of decisions. Number 2, it's essentially a master plan. It's a master plan in terms of overall how the organization is going to operate. And we'll see in a second the components of the business strategy. So number 2, it's a master strategy. Number 3, it's a long-term stretch of a desired image, direction, and destination of the organization. So you are probably realizing that the business strategy is similar to the organizational strategy. You're correct, because both should be very, very closely aligned. The overall strategy should align with the individual business strategy, right? Very, very linked. In fact, the business could be the organization itself. So that's what it is. Course of action, set of decisions. It's a master plan of creative, competitive positions to carry out the operations. It focuses on pleasing the customer and achieving the desired goals of the business. And lastly, it's a long-term stretch of desired image, direction, and destination of the organization. Right? A business strategy is also a set of competitive moves. Right? So it's about how to outperform, maneuver the competition. Right? Because every piece of market share that you take from your competitor, that's one piece that your competitor can't achieve. So it's about competitive moves. And these moves are used to, why? Attract the customer, compete successfully, strengthen overall performance, and lastly, achieve organizational goals. Business strategy is about equipping top managers with the integrated framework to discover, analyze, and exploit beneficial opportunities. So the organization, the business has got to be set up in a way where it's stable enough in terms of where it's going, but yet it's agile enough to move and take advantage of new opportunities which may present themselves in the market. So that's what this is about, the business strategy, right? And so it's about also meeting potential threats that come up, any changes, using resources to their fullest potential, understanding the strengths and the weakness, or understanding the strengths in order to counterbalance the weakness, right? You may be strong in one area, but you may be weak in other areas. How do you associate those two where your weaknesses are reduced and your strengths are raised to the top? So in essence, the business strategy is intentional. It's not something that it's not something that the organization does accidentally. They put some thought into it. They put some analysis into it on an intended direction and intended goal. That's the business strategy, right? So let's look at one company, LinkedIn. I'm sure you've heard of LinkedIn. So question, does everyone have a LinkedIn account, a LinkedIn profile? Okay. Second question, do you have a Facebook account, right? If you have a Facebook account and you don't have a LinkedIn account, not good. You're MBA students. Facebook is for fun. Facebook is great, but LinkedIn is for business. So your MBA students, if you don't have a LinkedIn account today, tonight, please sign up to get your LinkedIn account, because this is where opportunity comes to find you. So LinkedIn as a platform, what's their business strategy? Well, they have successfully built the largest professional networking platform in the world. It's where most of the companies are. It's where most of the employees are. It's where the majority of the opportunity is. Secondly, they were able to leverage their platform and all the data that they received by users in their platform to outperform companies like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, MonsterBoard, and Ladders. All these companies, ZipRecruiter, Monster, Indeed, were similar companies. They were platforms that allowed candidates and employees to meet each other for the purposes of interviewing and hiring, right? But LinkedIn did something totally different. Not only did they take the profiles of their users, but what they did was use that data to create insights and analytics, so much so that they outperformed their competitors, and they were eventually bought by Microsoft. So they are doing excellent job right now. Now, their business model not only includes the hiring platform, but they include something called Talent Solutions. They've also got a learning and development suite. Well, you can teach classes or take classes. They've also got marketing solutions. So B2B, if you want to market your product to another business or to a set of consumers, you can do that. And the last thing, they've got premium subscriptions. So if their platform, if you want to join up, you can get the standard level, or you can go for the premium subscription, right? So they've sort of evolved. Their strategy evolved. It changed, and it worked very, very well. And today they're the largest and the number one networking platform, business professional platform in the entire world. So that was their strategy. Did they begin with this strategy? No, it evolved, and they were able to take advantage of market opportunities. So the business strategy is the firm's working plan. Now, I emphasize the word working plan, not just plan, but working plan. Why is it a working plan? Because again, you're always moving. It's always moving. It's very fluid, depending on what happens in the market. It's about achieving, prioritizing what's first, objectives, competing successfully. We talked about competitors. Optimizing financial performance. You want to be able to achieve and get profit margins and do well, reduce your costs with this business model. So that's what the strategy is. It's all those different things. Financial performance, your vision, competing against your competitors, taking advantage of opportunities. This is the business strategy, right? The choice of objectives is at the heart of the strategy. So what you choose to work on year to year, quarter to quarter, is the heart of the business strategy. Those two should be linked. Those objectives that the organization set, that the employees help to achieve, functional level, is at the heart of the business strategy, right? As a result, the strategy explains in practical terms, right? So the business strategy is not the vision. The vision, remember, is aspirational. Business strategy is tactical, hands-on. How the firm, number one, is different from its competitors. Number two, how it earns its money. And lastly, where the margins are coming from, or where the margins are being realized. And you'll see the components in just a minute. No, the business model and a business strategy, they're different. They're not the same. Here it is. A business model is a tool similar to SWOT, similar to Pesto, similar to Boston Consulting Group Matrix. Remember, we looked at the cash cow, the dog, right? So that's what a business model is. It's a tool to help the organization achieve its business strategy. I'll give an example. Airline alliances. You got on the plane, you buckle your seatbelt, and they make an announcement. Thank you for flying our airline. Our airline is also in a partner alliance with XYZ Airline. Why do they do that? Why do airlines partner up with other airlines? Well, they do that so that they can reach more customers, right? An airline, instead of buying another 10 planes, why don't we partner up with this airline and offer our services to that set of passengers? That strategy is a way for that airline to expand, right? So an alliance is sort of a business strategy that the leaders have a choice. We want to start flying in Malaysia. Well, we have to, number one, get approval from the government. Number two, we have to buy more planes. Number three, we have to hire more pilots. Number four, we have to hire more stewardesses. That sounds expensive. That sounds like it's going to take time. That's one set of choices. Or why don't we get an alliance with another airline that's already in Malaysia, right? If they're in Malaysia operating, we've got the airlines there, they've got approvals, they've got pilots, they've got stewardesses. We just get an alliance. So that's a strategy, business strategy of how the company can expand, right? So this is just one example, right? Again, the business strategy is a combination of proactive solutions. So proactive is you're thinking ahead, you're thinking about the future. And so you take steps today, proactive steps today, that's going to better position you for the future, right? For the purpose of enhancing the organization's market position, I just used an example of the airline. We do the proactive action today because we want to expand our market reach and our market position, improve our overall performance, and maybe the business strategy is a reaction to unexpected developments. So maybe we have to go this direction because of something that happened in the market. Consumer taste change. Maybe the government did something. So we have to change and respond to it. The maximum parts of the company's present strategy are a result of formally initiated action. So the strategy is something we set out to implement and design and write out early on, right? So it's something we've done. The business strategy approaches, though, market conditions change, and sometimes things are unanticipated. And when they do, we have to change directions, right? So the corporate strategy may stay the same, but the business strategy may change depending on what happens. And it may change very, very quickly, right? Hence, unforeseen development, a part of the business strategy is formulated as a reasonable response. What does that mean? The corporate strategy stays the same, but because of what happened in the market, a new opportunity may have presented itself. We had to change. We had to take advantage of it, right? We had to change our business strategy, right? What's the purpose of the business strategy? It's to achieving effectiveness, securing advantageous position. Again, we talked about expanding our market share, taking advantage of opportunities. It's to mobilize resources. Maybe we take money from here, employees from here, equipment from this location to send it here for whatever reason, because of an opportunity or because of an unexpected event in the market. Meeting business challenges and threats. Maybe a competitor just popped up that's now in our market. Maybe Apple is making computers one year, and then all of a sudden, Nokia gets a phone call that Apple is now selling phones. Unexpected threat. So we got to change our business strategy, right? Preserving and utilizing opportunities. So we may change our strategy to maintain our market share, or, as I mentioned, new opportunity comes up. And so we have to take advantage of it. And in that case, we change our business strategy to take advantage of it. Almost done. And directing individual efforts, behaviors toward organizational success. So this just talks about we may change the strategy because we want all of our employees to be going in the same direction. We want alignment with our employees to ensure that they're going to help us to reach the expected goal. And then gaining command over unexpected situations. So we've been talking most of the day about changes in the market. The term VUCA, I'm sure you've heard of. Have you heard of VUCA? VUCA. VUCA describes market conditions. When you talk about strategy, VUCA. The V stands for volatile. Right? The market conditions are very, very volatile. Things are up and down. The economy is up and down. Oil prices up and down. It's hard to design a firm strategy because things are shaky. Think of a pot of boiling water. It's unstable. It's just boiling. It's popping all over the place. That's what the market condition is like. The stock market goes down one day, then it's up the next day. So the market is volatile. So it's hard to get a business strategy. The U stands for uncertain, right? Because it's so volatile, I don't know what's going to happen next. Because I don't know what's going to happen next, it's hard for me to plan for the future because I don't understand what's happening today, right? So in that case, it's very, very tough. Very, very tough. Changing environment, unexpected situations. It's uncertain, right? What does the C stand for? What do you think the C stands for? Changing. It's changing, changing, changing. Every day it's changing, right? Today the customers want BlackBerry. Tomorrow they want apps. The next day they want a mobile device. Tomorrow they want a phone with a 5G camera, right? The changing environment, the changing taste is happening so quickly that I can't make a strategy. Because if I make a strategy, I'm going to make a purple phone. Well, tomorrow they want something totally different. So I can't make a good strategy because things are ever changing. And the last one is a word called ambiguous. What does ambiguous mean? Ambiguous means unclear. I can't see. It's hazy. I don't know if I'm going forward or backwards. I can't see. I can't make sense of it. I can't plan a direction because I can't even pick out a target of where I'm going. So that's what this is talking about. To gain control over unexpected situations. The environment is VUCA. It's VUCA. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's changing, it's ambiguous. And in that instance, it's very hard to make a firm strategy and then as a leader to be able to sell it to the employees, right? Because they notice also what's happening in the market as well, right? So the corporate strategy, we've been looking at this all day with this. So here are the three levels. The first one is the corporate level. Corporate level is concerned with the overall purpose and the scope of the business. It's crucial at this level since it's heavily influenced by investors, right? So the investors, the stakeholders, the public, they want to know about the corporate level. Overall, what is the general direction that the organization is going? That's at the corporate level. The next level is the business unit or a level of business strategy. It's concerned more with how the business competes successfully in a particular market, right? Corporate is overall. The business level is how we're going to work in this particular business. So it talks about choice of products, meeting the needs of the customer, gaining advantage over our competitors, creating new opportunities. That's at the business level. Then it is rolled down to the operational level, concerned with how each part of the business is organized and delivered. So let's look at this in more detail. So the corporate level is what we talked about. Long range plan, action-oriented, integrated. Again, it's comprehensive. It's overall plan for the entire business, right? It is used to ascertain business lines, expansion, growth, takeover mergers. This is big stuff. Divestitures, integrations, new areas. So we're talking about selling stuff, buying stuff. We're making some big decisions at the corporate level. Then we go down to the business level. This is generally developed by the general managers. We said earlier, the corporate level, who develops that strategy? The C level, CEO, CFO, CMO, CPO, CHRO. When you get down to the business level, that's cascaded, but that's left to the business unit managers or the business unit vice presidents or the business leaders, right? They make their own strategy. Their strategy should be directly linked to the corporate strategy. There should not be misalignment. The corporate is going this way and the business is going this way. Mushkila kabir, big problem, a misalignment there. So it's like a blueprint of how each business unit is going to be operating, right? But again, it should be linked to the corporate level. And then the last level is developed by the first line managers or supervisors, right? So these are the functions. It's production, it's marketing, it's research, it's HR. As an employee, I'm sure many of you have sat down with your manager and they said, okay, let's talk about your yearly goals. Your yearly goals should be linked to your department's goals. Your department's goals should be linked to the business unit's goals. The business unit goals should be linked to the corporate goals, right? It cascades down and then it rolls up from the bottom. But all those should be linked. So much so that every action an employee takes every day in every big and small way should be moving, pushing, helping the organization to reach its corporate level objective, right? Right? The business strategy will likely take different forms as you move forward from one level to another, right? So here it is. Here's one strategy. This is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Here's one strategy that Apple used. This is one strategy that Apple used for their business strategy. What is it? Well, it's something called the reversed razor and blade business model. What is the razor and blade business model? What is it? Well, a gentleman by the name of Gillette. Have you heard of Gillette, the razor company? Back in the 1900s, he had his razor company business, and he was selling razors. Well, so were other people selling razors. And Mr. Gillette was trying to think of an advantage. How could I sell my razors? How could I, number one, keep my market share for razors, shavers? And how could I expand? How could I beat the competitors? So he came up with the razor and blade strategy. And the razor and blade strategy is this. He took the razor and he sold it in two different parts. The handle of the razor he sold very, very cheap, almost close to the cost of the handle, right? Very, very low margins on this, right? The customer liked this because they can get the razor handle very, very cheap. The handle you could buy once every 4 or 5 months. You didn't have to buy these very, very often. The razor, however, he decided to increase the price of the razor, right? And he was able to produce or generate high margins on the razor. So what he did was he sold it in two parts. You could get this part very, very cheap, but this part you would have to pay a lot more for. And he made most of his money on the razors. There's another product that does this same business model. Have you heard of the printer models? Printers? When you go and buy a printer, you can get a printer very, very cheap. It doesn't matter the brand. Any brand. You can get one with double-sided printing, you can get color, you can get... Printers are next to nothing. However, if you notice, most times when you buy If you're selling water, this is excellent. If you're selling fruit, this is excellent. But your product may be more customized or segmented. And so you want to understand who you're selling to. Maybe I'm going to sell to women between the ages of 25 and 35. Maybe I'm going to only sell to bald men. Maybe I'm only going to sell to millennials. Maybe I'm only going to sell to retirees. Maybe I'm only going to sell to the wealthy. Maybe I'm going to sell to people who are not so wealthy, right? So you want to identify the customer that you're selling your product to and the market in which you're going to be selling your product in, right? So you want to look at geographical location, education, workplace experience. We talked about, markets and regions. If you're selling, Rolex watches into an emerging country or location, you may not sell a lot of watches there. An example is I heard about a skateboard company, skateboards. They were thinking about opening a store in a town in Florida, in the U.S. Well, after doing some research, they decided not to open the store in this town in Florida because in the town was nothing but retirees. These are people who are older, 60, 70, 80 years old. They're not going to buy a skateboard. So you got to know who are your customers, where are your customers, and if your product is a match for your customers' needs, right? So that's firms, customers, and market, right? Focus on top-level objectives, right? We've been talking about objectives for most of the morning. So the top-level objectives, what's the purpose of the strategy? Basically, it's the answer. The answer should name one or more business objectives of what you're into, what the firm is into, and what is it pursuing to achieve. Strategy's reason for existing is to explain how the firm seeks to achieve its specific goals. Again, it's answering the reason why and explains how as well, right? So again, focus on top-level objectives when you formulate your business objective. That's step number 2. 3 is your plan of attack. You may have a great idea, but you've got to take action of how you're going to enter into the market and then also remain in the market. What's your battlefield? Where are you going to compete? For firms' competitive industries, high-level generic strategy is necessary for competitive strategy, right? Plan your attack in which general approach that's going to make your firm appear different or differentiate your firm and its offering from the competition in the market. Think about when you go to the grocery store and you look for water. They're just bottles of water, endless shelves of bottles of water. What's the difference between the two? You can't tell the difference. But I tell you, there is a water company that did something different. Bottles of water are generally what? Circular or shaped in terms of a tube. One company did something different. They put their bottle of water in a square bottle, which sort of distinguished it from the others. That's just a quick example. Secondly, the battlefield in which the specific market focus and where the competition takes place. You got to know where you're going to compete and where your competition is and what your competition is doing. This one is a big one. Reality check. So your vision, your idea may be good, it may be grand, but the leader has to take a sober look, a realistic look as how achievable is the goal. The strategy will be ready to go to market only after it validates the quantitative business model. So we talked about feasibility studies. A feasibility study answers one question: is it possible? So you want to understand and know with facts, with data, if what you're trying to achieve is possible, right? So you've got to take this number 4 step. Reality check. Does the business model that you've created, does the razor and blade model stand up in the market for the product that you have that you're trying to sell? Number 5, build a strategic framework, right? Firm succeeds partly because high-level generic strategies are successful, Generic plans need support. However, for quite lower level strategies, strategy formulation 5 is to create these lower level strategies. And some lower level strategies include product strategy, what type of product you're going to be selling. Could be, coloring, branding, right? It could be you're the low cost, your product is the low cost. It could be that it's high value. Maybe it's brand name. Operational strategy, how you're going to produce it, manufacture it, right? And these are the low-level strategies that will help support the framework that you have. So again, we've talked about this, the elements of the business strategy planning. You've got the core values. Once you get the core values, you do your SWOT analysis, which is going to give you your internal and external strengths, your action plans, your yearly objectives, which helps you reach the corporate objectives or long-term goals, and then, of course, your vision statement, right? So these are the 7 elements that help you achieve your strategic plan. All of these should be interlinked, and all of these should be moving in the same direction. Vision plan, again, we've talked about this, aspirational statement, where you hope to be in the future, its overall direction. It describes the what, and most importantly, the why. Here's an example of a vision statement. Zappos. Have you heard of Zappos? Zappos is the online shoe company. The vision statement says, listen to this. One day, 30% of all retail transactions in the U.S. will be online. People will buy from the company with the best service and the best selection. Zappos will be that online store. Our hope is that our focus on service will allow us to wow our customers, our employees, our vendors, and our investors. We want Zappos to be known as a service company that happens to sell shoes. You hear that? They want to be known as a service company that happens to sell shoes, handbags, and anything and everything. Wow. That's a vision statement. It's long. Remember, I told you the mission is something short you can put on a t-shirt. This one's long. They want to wow the customer. That's aspirational, right? That's something way up there. That's something that drives every employee. And they're thinking, man, if I work at Zappos, one of the core values for us is to wow the customer. You see how that filters down? Right? Here's an example of a vision. That's a vision statement. The mission statement is a mission statement describes where you are today. The vision talks about where you want to be. The mission says where you are right now. It often describes what you do, for who, and how you do what you do. Focusing on your mission statement each day should enable you to reach your vision. So the mission is what we do every day to reach the vision. The mission statement could be broad, could broaden your choice and/or narrow them, depending on what it is. Here's an example of a mission statement. This is Harley Davidson. Listen to Harley Davidson's mission statement. We fulfill dreams through the experience of motorcycling by providing motorcyclists and the general public with an expanding line of motorcycles and branded products and services in selected market segments. You hear that? The first 3 words, we fulfill dreams. Wow. That's exciting, right? Very exciting. That gets you up in the morning. So everything that you do, whether I'm building motorcycles or changing oil in motorcycles, what am I doing? I'm fulfilling dreams. You see? That should align with the mission statement. With the vision statement. Right? Core values. And we've talked about values earlier today. So values are things that are valuable to the organization. Well, it simply describes the beliefs and the behaviors of those in the organization. There are things that the employees believe in and that will enable them to achieve the vision and the mission. So the vision is aspirational, who we want to be in the future. The mission is who we are right now. The values are what we believe. And not only what we believe, but you can see it in our behavior. and it's helping us to achieve the vision and the mission. So here's an example from Coca-Cola. Their values are leadership, the courage to shape a better future, collaboration. We leverage collective genius, integrity. Simply put, be real. Accountability. If it's to be, it's up to me. Passion, committed in heart and mind. Diversity, as inclusive as our brands are, which means they want everybody involved. And the last one, quality. What we do well. Man, when you hear that, it just gives you chills, right? Integrity, be real. That's beautiful. In essence, if I work for Coca-Cola, if I have a Coca-Cola shirt on, these are the values, the behaviors that you can see that I should be displaying as a Coca-Cola employee. Right? So to Coca-Cola, these things are most important. So these are values. Not only values, but they call core values. Core values. Then the SWOT analysis, we talked about this one earlier today. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And really, it's a planning tool, strategic planning tool that helps the organization understands what they're good at, what they're not really good at. And it helps the employee, the organization, to focus on a strategic plan based on strengths and weaknesses. Then, of course, we got long-term goals. Long-term goals are typically, 2 to 5 years out? Maybe 3 to 5 years out. Short-term goals could be yearly, 1 to 3 years, right? But essentially, it's 5 statements that drill down to the level below the vision. It's right below the vision and describes how you plan to achieve your vision. This is a long-term goal. Yearly objectives, and you know what this is if you work for an organization or have worked for an organization. These are things that you're going to be doing every year. Each long-term goal should have, here we are, 3 to 5 year. Objectives are typically every year. And objectives should be SMART objectives. S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for relevant, and T stands for time-based, right? And then, as you drill down even further, you've got action plans. Yearly goals, what you do every year. Action plans could be things you do every quarter. Could be things you do every month. Could be things you do every day. But it's action plans. And it depends, depending on the complexity of the objective, it could be broad, it could be very, very specific. But these are your action plans. Right? So, in summary, module number 3, we just talked about, we discussed the business strategy. And what is a business strategy? We also discussed the different levels of strategy and how each function is performed. We also discussed how business strategy is created and the elements of the business strategy as well as the planning. So again, strategic direction, the organizational strategy is overall, but the business strategy is sort of a sub-strategy that's going to help the overall organization reach its overall objectives. So with that, that covers module number 3, and now we are headed to module number 4.